welcome to Fulton Road. I'm Dan, and in this video I'll show you my progress installing fiber optic headlights in the Toyota Crown sedan. While I'm talking, you're seeing how I weathered the roofs of the town buildings and cleaned some of the trees. These buildings had originally been painted with single color roofs. I wanted to get them a little more aged, so I went to work with the craft paints. The trees, like everything else, were very dusty, and I brushed them with a soft brush. Some of the clump foliage fell off, but I don't think it affected the overall appearance. They're ready to be placed back on the layout. I'll finish up this video by showing you some switching from a switch list I started some time ago. Since the last video, I got some shrink tube that fits over the LED. The fit is tight enough that I don't have to heat the shrink tube in order for it to stay in place. Here is a piece right out of the package that I'm testing to see how it works. There's no light leakage. Working with the first headlight, I threaded 10 strands through and then tried to fuse the ends together with a lighter flame. That didn't work. Each individual strand formed a little blob. However, they don't fuse together, which is what I thought would happen. I tried this a few times before realizing it wasn't going to work. Back to the drawing board. I cut the end again and pulled all of the strands out of the headlight hole. About a day or two later, I returned to again thread the 10 strands through the headlight hole with a different approach. After getting the strands in place, I lined them up so they were even, cut them again to make sure I had them all evenly lined up, and moved them as far into the hole as possible without pushing them all the way through. The strands were tight enough in the hole that they didn't fall out. I glued them in place with matte medium from behind so as not to cloud the cut surface. After waiting for the matte medium to dry, I tested and got a nice light coming out of the bundle of strands. This was enough to proceed with the remaining 3 headlights. I started threading the remaining 30 strands through the headlight holes and the hole in the bottom of the chassis. I repeated the process of gluing the strands behind the headlight so they wouldn't pull out. When I was done, there were tiny strands everywhere sticking out from the bottom of the chassis. I threaded the strands through the piece of shrink tube. When I was finished, I snuggled the shrink tube down over the LED. I glued the first set of 10 strands to the top of the LED with matte medium. There was no way to repeat that with the remaining 30 strands. However, the shrink tube was enough to hold them in place, and if I applied heat to the shrink tube, it should secure them so that none would come out. I haven't got there yet. Also, with 40 strands, the original small hole I pierced into the piece of craft foam street under the car was no longer large enough. At first, I used a 1/16 inch hole punch, but that was only good for 10 strands. I used a regular hole punch to accommodate the 40 strands I ended up using. So, after a lot of threading and testing along the way, I got the car on the layout. It works. I like the effect, and it should look cool with the lights darkened and a train going by. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Voila. All of the lights light up. It's been a while since I did any switching. The brewery switcher is making another run to switch cars at WSI, AeroPress, and Mohawk Western. I had to use the Bright Boy in addition to the cleaner I use on the track because some spots probably got water, glue, or something else on the rail, which was causing poor conductivity. That's been taken care of, and it's time to have some fun. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for spending some time at Fulton Road. This train is heading to AeroPress to pick up the 3 empties and drop off 2 loads, and then it will make its way to WSI, where it will pick up 1 empty and drop off 3 loads, and the ever-present rail box remains off spot. Until next time, thank you.